You are 6 years old, and a man you've never met is measuring your face. He's checking for blemishes. A scar, a birthmark, a limp, any of it disqualifies you. Your parents are standing right there, and they are not going to stop him. Because if he picks you, you belong to Rome now. Not to them. Picture it from the inside. You're a girl from a good Roman family, somewhere between 6 and 10 years old. A priest called the Pontifex Maximus, the highest religious authority in Rome, has a short list of candidates, and your father has quietly put your name on it. Maybe he did it for prestige. Maybe for the family's political standing. You didn't get a vote. 20 names, roughly, narrowed down through inspection and lot drawing until one is chosen. If it's you, a priest takes your hand, says a formal line claiming you for the goddess Vesta, and walks you out of your father's house. Legally, from that moment, you are no longer his daughter. You belong to no family at all. You belong to Rome. You will not go home again for 30 years. And 30 years sounds like a life sentence, but stick with this because the women who survived it didn't just survive. They became some of the most powerful women in the ancient world. The question is what it costs to get there. You're brought to the house of the Vestals, right next to the Roman Forum, and you're handed 2 jobs. Fail either one and the consequences are not symbolic. Rule 1. Keep the sacred fire burning. The flame in the temple of Vesta represents the life of Rome itself. Let it go out through carelessness, and you are stripped and flogged by the Pontifex Maximus personally, in the dark, so no man sees your body during the punishment. Rule 2. Stay a virgin. For 30 years. No exceptions, no engagement, nothing. And this isn't a rule enforced with disapproval or gossip. It's enforced with a live burial. That's not a figure of speech. Keep listening because a woman actually went through this, and how Rome decided her guilt tells you everything about what it meant to be almost but not quite equal to a man in the ancient world. Quick one before we go further. Fire duty or chastity vow? Which rule would break you first? Drop your pick. Here's what most people get wrong about this role. It wasn't purely a punishment dressed up as an honor. The trade Rome offered you was real. As a Vestal, you could own property in your own name, something almost no other Roman woman could do. You could write a will. You could give testimony in court without a male guardian speaking for you. You got a reserved front row seat at the gladiatorial games, right next to senators. Lictors, official bodyguards, the kind normally reserved for magistrates, walked in front of you to clear the street. And here's the detail that should stop you. If you happen to pass a condemned prisoner being led to execution, you could pardon him on the spot. Just by being there. Just by choosing to. A 6-year-old girl handed the power of life and death, 30 years before any Roman man would be trusted with the same. So you've got status, property, power most men never touched, and one mistake away from being buried alive underground. That contradiction is the whole story. And it gets tested for real roughly 2/3 of the way into this video with a woman named Cornelia. Before we get to her, you need to see exactly what guilty meant procedurally because it's stranger than most people expect. If a Vestal was formally accused and found guilty of breaking her vow, she wasn't executed the normal Roman way. No blade, no public spectacle of blood. Roman religious law forbade shedding a Vestal's blood directly. So instead, she was carried through the city in a covered litter, sealed shut so her cries couldn't be heard, to a place called the Campus Celeratus, the field of wickedness, just inside the city walls. There, a small underground chamber waited. A bed, a lamp, lit, a little bread, a little water, enough that, technically, no one killed her. She was simply placed inside, and the chamber was sealed with earth above her. That's the legal loophole. Rome didn't take her life. Rome just removed her heir. Genuinely, do you think that technically we didn't kill her distinction mattered to anyone? Or was it just Rome telling itself a story? Yes or no? If deep dives like this are your thing, hit subscribe. There's more of these coming. Now here's where it stops being theory. Late in the 1st century CE, under the Emperor Domitian, the Chief Vestal, the most senior of the 6, a woman named Cornelia, was accused of breaking her vow. Cornelia denied it. She'd already survived one earlier accusation and been acquitted. This time, Domitian didn't let the normal process run. He had her condemned largely on his own authority, overriding the usual college of priests. She was carried to the campus Celeratus and sealed underground, while, by some accounts, still loudly protesting her innocence as the earth went over the chamber. Sit with that for a second. This wasn't an early, uncertain era of Rome. This was a sophisticated empire, decades into its imperial peak, and it was still using an underground chamber to solve the problem of an accused woman it couldn't legally behead. So if accusation alone could end you like that, how did any Vestal ever prove her innocence? There's actually a famous answer, and it's one of the strangest tests in all of Roman legend. Centuries earlier, a Vestal named Tuccia was accused of breaking her vow. The story goes that to prove her purity, she carried water from the Tiber River to the temple of Vesta, not in a bucket, but in a sieve, a tool that is, by design, full of holes. And the water didn't spill. She walked the whole distance, and it held. Whether or not it happened exactly like that, the story tells you what Rome actually believed. That chastity wasn't just a private fact about a woman's body. It was something that could bend physics if it was real. The impossible object obeying you was proof. That's the kind of standard you were living under every single day for 30 years. One-word answer. If you had to design an impossible test to prove your innocence, what's your sieve? Say you make it. 30 years. Fire never out. Vow never broken. What's waiting for you? Freedom, technically. At the end of service you could leave the order, and you were legally permitted to marry. But almost nobody did. Marrying an ex-Vestal was considered, for reasons ancient sources treat as more superstition than law, bad luck. Most former Vestals simply stayed near the temple, wealthy, respected, and alone, having spent every adult year of their life until now belonging to an institution rather than a household. You'd be free. You'd also be a stranger to the kind of life every other Roman woman had lived since childhood. That's the whole trade. Extraordinary power on loan for 30 years, with a punishment waiting behind door number 1 that most modern people have never even heard of. If you want more of these, you wouldn't survive this deep dives into the ancient world. Subscribe, new ones coming soon. Tell me in the comments, fire duty, chastity vow, or the sieve. Which one gets you first?